Hiya, Simon here, and for my next video I'm going to be talking about games demos. Games demos aren't really around anymore, and people were interested in to see how that relates to early access now for games, and also why AAA publishers have stopped making them too. So games demos basically died a death about 7 years ago, but that started 10 years ago. Firstly, demos were always really expensive to make because you have to choose what part of your game that you want players to see. You have to polish that up and release it, perhaps ahead of the game coming out. So that takes away resources, it's expensive, it's difficult, it's risky. You might, show them part of the game which is bad. It's difficult because you perhaps have a very slow tutorial, or you might want to use the vertical slice. You'd also risk shipping all your game's assets because you might not want to be slicing it up. And then you risk pirates basically unlocking chunks of the game and perhaps your game going on torrent sites before they even shipped the gold build. But that wasn't actually the biggest issue with demos. I've been playing games demos, like I'd get my PC Zone magazine and it would come with a little DVD on the front, or a CD, or even a floppy disk. And that would be the way that you found out about the games that you wanted to play and how you tried them. But in 2007, the new consoles came out and they were internet connected and they had stores on. And this was the first time that anyone had had any data as to whether demos were useful. And both sets of consoles effectively showed that demos were not useful for selling games. Indeed, most games demos caused people not to buy the game. So not having a demo would actually boost your sales. So many developers effectively stopped doing it. People had felt that that might have been the case for months and years ahead of that, but finally we had some data, and while now I'm sure there are some arguments for having demos, generally speaking the people who clamour for demos are the people who are not buying games. Often the people say, oh, I need to have a demo so I can see if it works on my computer. But that's kind of a red flag, because you realise, well, most games work on most computers, so why has this person got a computer that's so awful that the game wouldn't run well on it? So those two aspects, just the cost of production and the fact that there's either zero benefit or minus benefit, is why people don't bother making demos anymore, and probably never will. There's always the argument that free-to-play has a very shareware-esque mechanics, because if you're locking off part of the game and asking people for money for the rest of it, that's the same thing. And really with things like automatic refunds, so I think one of the consoles, perhaps Xbox, this week announced quibble-free returns. Steam's had that for years now. And so if people want to try the game, they can, and they can refund it quickly with no faff, and there's no reason for them to clamour for a demo. And so I hope that answers your question, and I will be back with another video shortly. I'll see you then.